Minecraft is a weird game, and there's a lot of features that don't make any sense. Rain doesn't fall from clouds, lava cauldrons can be underwater, and stonecutters deal no damage? So today I bring you 50 things that don't make any sense in Minecraft. Minecraft rain makes no sense. When you fly above the clouds when it's raining or snowing, you'll learn that the weather doesn't actually come from the clouds and instead comes from the infinite sky above. I guess the clouds are just there for show. Wood in Minecraft doesn't make any sense. One example would be trapdoors and doors. When you craft a door, you get 3 doors from 6 planks of wood, yet with the trapdoor, you only get 2. And considering trapdoors use the same amount of wood and are half the size, it doesn't make much sense. Don't you just love it when a desert biome generates right next to a snowy tundra? While Minecraft worlds are random, it doesn't make much sense for one of the hottest biomes to spawn next to one of the coldest. Do you know what makes no sense in Minecraft? Bubble columns. For whatever reason, they work backwards. Magma blocks generate heat, which in theory should cause you to rise, but does the opposite and pulls you down. Then you have soul sand. In the nether, it sucks you down when you walk across it, yet with bubble columns, it causes you to rise. A Minecraft world is supposedly infinite, so how does the sun and moon pass on the horizon? Do they just smash through the world? Where do they even go? Having the ability to grab mushroom stew from mushrooms is a pretty handy feature. But let's be real, where does this stew all come from? It's an infinite supply with basically no explanation. One of the biggest Minecraft sins is to leave a floating tree. And I know that you, yes you, have done it at least once. However, the fact that this exists doesn't make sense at all. I mean, how is this tree even floating? It's just really weird. Minecraft just seems to pick and choose which blocks are affected by gravity. I mean, you can literally build up into the air with stone, break the stone below you, and you'll just float with no issues. Try this with gravel or sand though, and it's not going to end nicely. In older versions of Minecraft, you were able to craft chainmail armor with fire. Now this already made no sense, and Mojang removed this feature, but it gets even more silly. So nowadays, chain armor is only obtainable through mob drops, but Mojang have since added chains into the game, yet there's still no way to craft chain armor. I mean, that doesn't make much sense. Grass blocks can't be trampled. Despite how much you walk on them, jump on them, or burn them, they'll always remain as grass blocks. To me, this makes no sense. How is a grass block so tough that it can't be turned into dirt? Speaking of weirdly tough blocks, cobwebs aren't easily broken. Any mob or player that passes through the cobweb will not break it, which is just, how does that even make sense? The only way you're destroying a cobweb easily is with shears or swords. Another thing that doesn't make sense with cobwebs is that projectiles are able to pass through them with no issues. But if a player, a mob, or an item goes anywhere near a cobweb, they are caught and move incredibly slow. Another thing that makes no sense is that cobwebs are able to protect hostile mobs from burning during the day. You mean to tell me this hollow, strangely durable cobweb somehow has the power to prevent heat from the sun? Yeah, makes sense I guess. Oh wait, it doesn't make sense. That's the whole point of this video. Does water and lava make obsidian, stone, or cobblestone? The answer is it makes all 3. Depending on where you place the water and lava, you can make all 3 of these materials, which if you ask me, doesn't make a lot of sense. The strange behavior doesn't stop there, because if you place lava in a cauldron underwater, it doesn't turn into cobblestone. Instead, the lava just kind of sits there, you know, underwater. Yeah, that makes sense. Also, placing a cauldron in the ocean itself doesn't fill up the cauldron. Despite this cauldron literally being surrounded by oceans of water, you have to fill it up yourself with a water bucket. Okay, let's talk about redstone. How does a redstone repeater actually work? Is it a generator? Does it have a power source? When the redstone signal becomes weaker, you extend the redstone signal by using a repeater, but the repeater doesn't work without a power source, so how is this outputting a max signal strength? Look, I won't pretend I'm a redstone expert, but that doesn't really make sense to me. Both warped and crimson stems don't burn, which makes sense as they generate in the hottest place in Minecraft. But what doesn't make sense is that you can use these blocks to create a campfire, despite these blocks supposedly being fireproof. When traveling vertically, regular ladders just aren't gonna cut it. Instead, try climbing a waterlogged ladder, as for whatever reason, you'll climb faster than you would on a regular ladder. I mean, shouldn't this water be weighing you down? How does this make sense? Axolotls are fast in water, but very slow on land. But as soon as you attach a lead to an axolotl, they're suddenly much faster on land and ready to conquer the world. It doesn't really make sense, but we do love this feature. In Minecraft, you can fish from the ocean, rivers, ponds, and a 1x1 hole. But you know what's weird? Somehow this small 1x1 hole of water can provide you with infinite fish and various items. Seriously though, where does it all come from? Despite appearing more broken, cobblestone takes longer to mine than regular stone. All tools in Minecraft can break their respective ores without any issues. That is until we come to gold tools. No matter how hard you try, you're never going to get gold by mining with, well, gold. Iron golems and snow golems are very specific. This is because these mobs will not spawn unless you place the pumpkin on its head last. If you try to place the pumpkin before the other blocks, they will not spawn, which doesn't really make sense. You would think an anvil is a pretty strong block. I mean, they have no issue squashing the player, but put an anvil up against a torch, flower, or sapling, and the anvil will lose and break instantly. But for whatever reason, a dead bush will always lose to an anvil. Beacons make no sense. Despite having obsidian in the crafting recipe, beacons are easily able to be destroyed by using your hand. Who would have thought a block made of obsidian could be destroyed so easily? Fences are a bit strange as you can't jump over them. However, once you place a carpet on top of a fence, you're able to jump over it with ease even though the block is now technically higher up. TNT, end crystals, and creepers are some of the most deadly things you can deal with in Minecraft. But this single leaf block can render them all completely useless, since if you place one at your feet, it will negate all damage from the explosions. Path blocks and farmland have some odd behavior. For some reason, you can't place torches or lanterns, but you can place signs and chains. However, placing either of these will turn the block back into dirt. But then you have end rods. If you place them on path blocks, it doesn't change it back into dirt. This game really has a consistency issue. It's a well-known fact that water doesn't belong in the nether. If you attempt to place it, it will instantly evaporate. However, if you place water into a cauldron in the nether, there doesn't seem to be a problem in doing so. This giant saw blade from the stone cutter is capable of cutting stone into various shapes and sizes. But somehow, if the player stands on the giant saw blade, it doesn't seem to harm you at all. This just makes no sense. A berry bush can kill you, but this can't? Zombified piglins cannot burn in lava, right? If you place them in a cauldron filled with lava on Bedrock Edition, they start to burn but don't take any damage. I guess zombie piglins don't enjoy lava as much on Bedrock Edition. Speaking of Bedrock Edition, a feature exists in this version where you can move tile entities such as chests by using pistons. Why this feature isn't in Java Edition doesn't make any sense. How hot would you say lava is? Pretty hot, right? Now lava will burn anything and everything in its surroundings, but a magma block doesn't seem to burn anything. This makes no sense as magma is meant to be hotter than lava, yet it doesn't burn anything. Another weird feature with magma blocks is the ability to crouch on them and not take any damage when you do so. I mean, how does this even occur or even make sense? Smelting armor is one of the biggest scams in Minecraft, and it doesn't make any sense either. This is because if you smelt an iron chestplate, for example, you get 1 iron nugget in return. This is a scam because the chestplate was originally worth 72 iron nuggets. The Frostwalker enchantment can be great for crossing rivers or oceans. The only water you shouldn't use Frostwalker on is waterlogged water, as it will never freeze no matter how hard you try. When you fall from great heights in Minecraft, you're able to save yourself with all kinds of methods. However, blocks such as wool or sponge cannot save you from any fall damage, but for whatever reason, hay bales can. Once again, Mojang just picks and chooses which blocks will save your life. When shooting a bow, you're able to shoot through small gaps between blocks. You can even shoot through fence gates. But for whatever reason, you can't shoot through fences or mangrove trapdoors despite there being a big gap in between them. The player can interact with every villager trading station in a unique way, but for whatever reason, you can't interact with the fletching table. I think Mojang just forgot about the fletching table because it's literally the only villager block they haven't updated. Cracked nether bricks cannot be found naturally in a nether fortress. In order to make these blocks, you need to heat them in a furnace. So don't you think cracked nether bricks should naturally generate in the nether? I mean, the dimension is made of literal lava, come on. Composters can turn any natural material into bone meal. But what doesn't make sense is that for whatever reason, bamboo cannot be turned into bone meal despite being 100% biodegradable. The Ender Dragon is capable of destroying many blocks in the game. When it comes to obsidian, more specifically the pillars, they won't destroy it and will instead phase straight through them. But it will, however, destroy ender chests, which doesn't make a lot of sense as ender chests are crafted with 8 obsidian, so it should be 8 times stronger than your regular obsidian block. Netherite armor is the strongest armor in the entire game that can make the player very powerful. However, when it comes to cacti or berry bushes, you're not protected and will take continuous damage. I mean, come on, how is this pathetic bush damaging me? We've established by now that lava is pretty hot. However, if there's a lava block above you, it will drip through but doesn't damage the player, even though this is an incredibly hot liquid landing directly onto your skin. I mean, how does this make sense? Landing in water from a great height is a nice way to land safely without taking any damage. But put that water in a cauldron, try the same thing again, and I think you'll find you'll have a much different outcome. I mean, how does this make sense? You're still landing in water, right? Raiding villagers seems to be a pretty fun pastime for most players. But what do the villagers think? Well, it seems like they just don't care at all. You can ruin their crops, steal, murder, and even destroy their homes, and they're just unfazed by it. The bucket is a pretty powerful item, as you can hold insane amounts of water, lava, snow, and milk. But what doesn't make a lot of sense is that you're able to hold lava in a bucket, but then you can destroy the bucket in lava or fire. And considering fire isn't even as hot as lava, surely the bucket should at least survive that. As you know, netherite tools and armor are completely fireproof. No amount of lava or fire will ever destroy these items. But if you throw them at a cactus, they'll be destroyed instantly, which if you ask me makes no sense for items as strong as netherite. Want to learn what some of the rarest things in Minecraft are? Well, you can do so by watching the video right here.